Paul Wallen, and I'm glad to see you on Legato Frequency channel, the channel about virtual but professional sound synthesis. And yes, we are back in Harmor. I'm a very addictive person. So today, by the request of one of my subscribers, we're going to be dealing with another bass preset of Harmor, but today is special. We're going deep, literally. The bass preset that we're going to make relates for its most part to genres of electronic music such as deep techno, dub techno, or maybe even deep house. And it is this kind of bass sound. Just turn it up that you can hear. And already you can recognize it from our shorty from the beginning of this video. And you can see what it's doing. It's traveling across those modulations of X, Y, and Z. So they're responsible for something in here in that preset. So we're going to make it X, Y, Z responsive. And here's the more awesome part. So it can wobble here, and it saturates with more harmonies here. More dubstepy here, and maybe a little bit more progressive here. So let's get right to the preset. And as you can see, there are two parts inside of Harmor. Those are A and B. Let's listen to them separately. Now you can hear the difference, because the A part is responsible for a sub bass, very deep kind of sound, and the B part is responsible for that sharp attack, more middle frequencies, I think. And in a whole, you get that sound. And I recorded this this way it's cool. You can clearly hear the swinginess in this part of the track. So let's get down to our preset, and what we're gonna make first is the A part. And this is just the sub bass part, but it's awesome, I think. And let's get down to default. So we're gonna make it from scratch for you. We should open the visual feedback, not only to hear our frequencies, but to see them. It's very handy this way. And always, first thing you want to do with bass presets when you're making bass presets is lower the pitch level down. And in our case, it's going to be to -2 octaves, so -2400 cents. So we got our default saw wave and -2 octaves, right? Then we go to timbre 1 harmonic level. You can see that all 516 harmonics are up here. So what we want to do is just to make it like so and lower this. And you want to find harmonic number 4 here on our graph. So you can see that our tip window in FL Studio tells us that it's harmonic number 4. So now you want to do this. You want to cover a little bit of harmonic number 4, and all the rest of the harmonics should be silent like this. So we get only 4 harmonics, a straight line going down. So the 4th harmonic is very silent. So some nice bass we got here already. Then we want to go to volume articulation window, turn on the envelope for volume, and use tempo dependence. And make it like this. So you can get rid of that dot with a decay marker, delete it, and just leave the sustain dot only. So you can have that tail, that short tail. Great. we want to go to unison and just leave 4 voices in here, panning this way, pitch thickness like this, and phase over here. At that point, you want to raise the volume level here so you can hear it more clearly. And what I want to do right away is to go to articulator of the pitch thickness window and do this thing, tempo dependence on. So we can't hear our pitch thickness in the beginning of this, in the attack of this preset. And by the time it gets here, it raises the pitch thickness to that point. Great. And I must say that right away, that this preset is going to be about small details and small things like this. So you can't hear much difference, but it's there. It gives you the feeling of clear attack and then more spacious sounding. And we're moving on. And we should activate the pluck and lower it to 20 something percent, 22% in my case. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, this is awesome. And we want to raise a sub-level, subharmonic number 1, a level to minus 10 decibels, so it sounds more bassy. Now we're gonna need the work of filtering, and we should choose classic low-pass filter in that case, and filter 1, and just raise the width up to 60%. Lower the cutoff frequency level to 70%. Also turn all the way up with the resonance amount and the resonance width, and offset, we should have it here, very low, minus 1400 I guess. And you cannot hear the difference at that point, but what we're gonna need it for is just this envelope, frequency 1 envelope. So you should turn it on and activate the tempo dependence. Here you got 1 kick if you're not familiar with the musical terms. So here we got 1 bar, and here we got 1 kick. So 1 bar consists of 4 kicks, right? And make it something like this. Sustain marker here, decay marker over here. It has nice warm attack and warm release. Yeah, pretty accurate, I guess. And then we're gonna need a harmonic blur here. So raise it up to 30.4, like that, something like this. And you can hear it right away. And again, what we're gonna need it for is just for this envelope here, and turn it on and tempo dependence. Again, all the same actions, and just make it this way. So again, 1 kick, here's your kick. And here's your bar. We can lower it down for that for now. Yeah, great. And then I'm going to apply a pitch trick with a pitch here. So for the sharp attack, I use this kind of envelope for the pitch. So now you want to use the Alt key on your keyboard. Remember, it must not mess with your pitch level here, because if you don't use your Alt key on your keyboard, if you're using PC, I think it's the Alt key, and on the Mac, I think you know what's your key on the Mac. So on this level, you want to use the Alt key so it can snap to the grid, and then you want to use the Shift key. Let go of the Alt key. So now I'm holding the Shift key on my keyboard and just drag it over here. No, too far, I guess. So now you can hear the difference with and without it. That bumpy sound and some booming effect, like a soft kick, but it's not a kick exactly, but it's doing its work. Great. And then we're gonna make a wobble effect. As you remember, we get wobble over here on the right side of a modulator X. And how do we do that? So we just go to volume articulator, and the modulation type is LFO, low frequency oscillator. We're gonna need to turn it on and enable tempo dependence. So make a speed like this, so that this whole bar has inside precisely 3 whole triangle waveforms. And you want to raise the level up high, the level of the LFO amount, like that. But we don't want to use it right here in the center of our cabinet XYZ cabinet. We want to use it as we getting close to the right side of this cabinet. How do we make it? We just go to global LFO amount and choose the modulation X mapping here. So global LFO amount and modulation X mapping. And what the global LFO amount does is, in the simple terms, it's just responsible for all the LFOs in our A part, for the amount of all the LFOs in our A part. So whether it be LFO on volume articulation, LFO in filter articulation, but it's now off by default. So we have only our volume LFO. And now the global LFO amount is responsible for the amount of our volume LFO, volume low frequency oscillator. So now we want to use this graph right this way. And we get 0 LFO amount. In our case, it's the volume LFO in the center of our cabinet in the X modulator. And as we're getting close to the left side, we're getting the invert version of our volume LFO. So invert version would be like this. Just flip vertically and you get the inverted version. Flip vertically again and you get the right version. And in the center we get 0 LFO amount. To the right side we go. We get our right version of the LFO amount for volume. But as you can hear, it releases in the end. Yeah, it fades out over time, so we should use articulator of the pluck amount. And we go to pluck amount like this. We go to pluck amount envelope. We don't need that envelope. Again, we need just modulation X mapping. And what we're gonna need it for is just build this graph again. So we have our pluck amount in the center like this. Now we want to just catch the level of our pluck here. So we get 25%. And in the center of this modulation X mapping, you get it. Just make it also 25%. Maybe a little bit more. It's like 40 or 38%, I guess. And then as we're going right, the pluck amount raises up and our bass doesn't fade away over time. Great. And right in the center of our X modulator, we get our same plucky bass, sub-bass sound. For now, as far as A part is concerned, we're done. And we're moving on to the B side. So what we get here is just default saw wave. And we want to make our sharp attack bass in the middle frequencies. And of course, first thing we do, we go to timbre 1 harmonic level and make that graph here. And we should find harmonic number 120, I guess. Yeah, something like this. You don't want to be precise here, just this region, and make the curve like this. Bend it down. So now we don't need to use any type of filtering just to cut off this region. We've already done the work on a more concrete level, just in our harmonic level of timbre 1. Yes, and then we go to volume articulator again and make the same shape in the envelope of volume. Tempo dependence, and again. short tail. Right. Then we want to go to unison, raise it up to 5 voices, I guess, and make those parameters like that. Raise the pitch thickness level just to get that fat sound. And you want to set your phase by ear, as you like at that point. Then activate the pluck to the amount of 20 something, 25% in my case. So now you can already recognize it from our late preset. And in the B part, we want to use our harmonizer. And you want to use it the very usual way, just like that. So without it, with it. And maybe amount to the amount of 60%. Yeah. The width to the amount of 30%, strength to the amount of 50%. And in the harmonizer matrix, you want to catch your precise sound. I'm good at 2 multiplied by 2 and 1 multiplied by 2. Now we want to use blur. Not only harmonic blur, like this, but also the time blur with the decay knob. So you can hear that saturated decay, some saturated release in our case. Okay, we're almost done, and the next thing we want to do is just to work with clipping. Clip fader, and we want to set it like this, minus maybe 11 decibels on a high threshold mode. And what it does, it cuts off our lower harmonics, lower frequencies, leaves all the high region. You can hear it. So minus 11 decibels or minus 10 decibels should be enough. And as always, the last thing is filter work. So we go to filter 1 and set the classic high pass filter mode in the first filter. Then raise your width, the width of our cutoff frequency region to the amount of 75% and the amount of cutoff frequency to 20%. Yes. So we don't need those bass frequencies, those bass harmonics very much, because now we get our sub bass timbre in our A part. And what you want to do with the resonance is just raise it up to 30%. I guess it should be enough, and the same amount for the width knob. The offset should be somewhere in here, minus 500 cents. Right. And again, we did it all for a reason. Just go to edit articulator for the filter 1 knob and the filter 1 frequency, cutoff frequency. Activate it, tempo dependence. Then you want to do this. Yeah, some of you may be asking, what the hell are you doing right now? So here you get your whole kick, and here you get your whole bar. And inside 1/4 of a kick, you gotta build this shape. Like that. From the amount of plus 50% of that field up here, to the amount of minus 50% of that field here, and to the amount of 0 right to the 1/4 part of that whole kick. And at that point, you want to shape your sound to the point where you like it. So find your sweet spot, either in harmonizer or in blur, and experiment with those knobs. So all the knobs and faders we've operated on are now under your control and under your command. So use them, experiment with them, improvise. Find your sweet spot and your sweet sound. Yeah, that will be just great for me, and we're going further. You can use the same trick that we've applied in the A part with the pitch envelope for the sharp attack. So tempo dependence on the alt key. Very sharp and very fast. As you can see, here's the 1/4 of a kick, and it's pretty short. Maybe not that sharp as as in the A part, but it's doing its work. Yeah, I guess that should be enough. At that point, we want to apply the same tricks and the same parameters for the XYZ modulator on our B part. And what we want to do is just copy those parameters from the global LFO amount from the part A to the part B. And you can do this by just clicking to your menu here and just to copy to part B. So we copied our global LFO amount and its modulation X mapping to the B part. So you can see it here. Right. Then we want to go to what we operated with. Also, we've operated with pluck amount in the modulation X mapping. So we want to copy it to part B. It doesn't sound right. And it doesn't sound right here. What you want to do is to just make it like so. Right. So the center of that curve should be in the center of modulation X mapping, and so our pluck amount doesn't free up too much of our harmonics, like so. And where is the wobble effect in the B part, you might ask? And we haven't built it yet, so we go to volume envelope, and not precisely envelope, but to the volume alpha O articulation. And again, we just can copy this from the part A to the part B like this. And yeah, we get it. Yeah, we're almost done. And now we want to saturate our preset with Y modulation here when we go up high in that cabinet by our Y modulator. And first we want to do this with the B part, I guess. We're going to harmonic blur amount and to the modulation X mapping and build it like this. And of course, that articulation responsible for the harmonic blur amount, it's over here. Oh, sorry, not modulation X mapping. No, reset, modulation Y mapping. Mistake. Right. Like this. So raise the harmonic blur amount to the amount of 30.02. Pretty saturated. But it's not it yet, and we go to our A part, and again, harmonic blur amount articulation and modulation Y mapping. Let's build it here. Yeah, so find your maximum here. And that's not for me. Remember that we have not only harmonic blur amount on modulation Y mapping, but also in the envelope. So we got this curve going up and revealing a lot of harmonics for us to hear. And now let's see how does it work all together. And you want to combine those parts A and B by ear. In my case, it's going to be right in the center of it, 50% of the mix fader between A and B part. The last thing we want to do is FX section. We go to distortion and choose synchronized type of distortion. Raise it up like this. Raise it wet signal here and filter somewhere here. What a synchronized does is it's working in inverse. So when amount is very low, you can hear the weird type of distortion, and when you're going up, you can hear the saturation of the sound. Yeah, great sound, great preset. So now we're moving on to the chorus and raise it up to 5 voices and build it like this. Not much of a chorus mix, but the small amount. That will work. Then reverb activate, choose your frequencies by ear, not much of a size, very small. Set the very small room. Short decay and not much of a damping. Also not much of a wet signal, because this is the bass preset. So you don't want your bass preset to have very much verb in it. Yeah, I guess that sounds better. So make it like this. It sounds cool right now. And then compression. The compression type is going to be, yeah, in the usual circumstances, I will use warming type of compression, like that. But right now, as I'm demonstrating the power of the bass preset, I want to lower down pre and post effects volume level here, and yeah. And the last thing you want to do is to activate legato or deactivate it by your ear. Now you can use it or you can leave it. So now it depends on your goals and your purposes. What you want from this sound, from this preset. Do you want it slide? Do you want it glide? Or do you want it just to have a straight attack? Always. And as you know, you can always use legato and straight attacks and straight sharp attacks at the same time. So just hold the previous key and slide to the next note and you get your legato. And if you want your bass notes to just punch out like this, so it's simple. You can let the previous note go before you hit the next one. So now we're done with our preset, and it has a wobble, saturation, legato, and here, over here on the left side, it's not that bassy, but it's sharp. And it's sharp on high frequencies. Right. Yeah, great sound, great bass, very usable in deep genres of electronic music. Maybe you can use it somewhere else, maybe in trance music because of that wobble effect, but you can use it everywhere you want as long as it works for you. And now we're done for today, and I hope you liked that lesson and you will apply this sound, this type of sound, somewhere in your music. And remember the main idea in all the presets: you can modulate, you can experiment with it, you can tweak and move all the faders and knobs in here and set it by your ear, by your taste. You should trust your ears, follow your passion, and do what you like. So that's it for today. And remember the main goal. Remember our main goal, and please remember our main goal on this channel. And please remember the main idea on this channel, the main goal that we are pursuing here. It's getting the sound from your head, the sound that you've already made up in your head, to the sound, to the output system. It's getting the sound from your head, the sound that you've already made up in your head, to the output system on your synthesizer. So for now, I'm saying bye, and I will see you in the future lessons.